I'll stream on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page. I think I can do that.
Sounds like a plan, man. All right,
Yeah.
on with the show.
All right, sounds good.
On this week's episode, the future of Halo, the state of PC gaming, and is DC really on the right track? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great programs. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the Master Chief of Humanica Media. You got to check out everything going on today at humanicamedia.com, Humanica Media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so much more. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Get that helmet on tight from Halo 3, man, although it's kind of a little bit cramped in there because it's so small.
So if I'm the Master Chief, does that make you Cortana? Because you're technically the voice in my head.
Yes, the one that's extremely irritating from time to time.
Yeah, are you gonna go rampant now and just destroy the whole show?
That would not be good for any of our broadcast outlets, radio outlets, or anybody else. I don't think they would really want me to just go ahead and undermine the show with any coding and involved or anything like that.
So we just got to be careful for when we hit year 6, because that's when AIs go rampant.
Year 6 or year 7? I thought it was year 7.
I don't remember.
I think it's a 7 years. I'm just finishing all the books and whatnot. I think it's a 7-year lifespan, and as they get closer, Cortana just goes,
yeah. And oh, by the way, the trailer for Infinite, you see him pop the little chip back into his helmet? That's a lot of intrigue going on around that little clip.
Exactly. And that's also from the books where you just pop the little chip there as far as Cortana, whatnot. The interchanging. If anybody out there has not read the Halo books from yesteryear, from the past, there is a great series of about 4 or 5 books. After that, it's up to you if you want to continue the series, but the first 4 to 5 books in the Halo series are really something good to read. I just had a chance to revisit them recently on audiobooks because, listening is sometimes the better to do in the car and the van, obviously, than reading. So if you get a chance, check out all the Halo books when you get a chance. They're really a good read or a good listen as well. But it is going to be a great episode we've got for you today. We've got a lot of things going on. We've got Daphne Matthew from Talking the Dead and the Walking Dead fan base on Facebook. Both those groups you want to join up if you are an extremely, up-to-date fan on The Walking Dead. You want to know everything that's going on with The Walking Dead, all the fun stuff, all the interaction. There's a lot going on with both those groups. She heads up those groups, and she's going to talk more about why Alpha is the best, in her opinion, and a lot of others as well, the best villain on The Walking Dead to date. Better than Negan, better than the governor, better than the cannibals. She's going to tell you why Alpha is something you need to tune back into for The Walking Dead. Plus, we've also got as well a couple songs out there for you. We're going to be playing a little bit of tunes out there for you when it comes to some music, something we haven't done in a little while. So it's something we haven't done in a little while. So we really want to go ahead and see if actually just listen to some good tunes. We've got some good stuff coming up from Carry Music with Grand Central. And then also as well, we got coming up later in the show, Phil Matthews, aka The Village, coming up as well. No worries at all, my friend. It's going to be a great episode we've got for you indeed. But first off, I got to ask you your thoughts on Halo, because it's something we wanted to talk about, both of us, because in the past few days, I've also talked about this with the Game Source crew when it comes to Halo Infinite. The rumors are that it's possibly going to be the lead game, the killer app, as they say, for the next version of Xbox. They said they're going to delay it. It's not going to be on the Xbox One, or if it is, it's going to be simultaneous, which I think would be the smarter move. They have simultaneous versions for the Xbox One and whatever the next Xbox will be. Plus, there's also the Halo series from Showtime. I believe it's still headed up by Steven Spielberg, if I'm not mistaken, as far as an executive producer role. That's coming up into the near future. There's a lot of great stuff going on. In fact, you're streaming this weekend as well with Halo Reach, going back way back when. So I want to hear your thoughts on the Halo franchise as it stands right now, and we'll talk a little bit here in a sec about where we think it'll go in the future.
So I feel like it gets underestimated sometimes how important Halo is to Xbox because that was the flagship game that came out with the original Xbox. I remember the only reason I wanted an Xbox was because all of my friends were playing Halo. I would go over to their houses and they're playing Halo. And if you remember, like, did you have Halo when it first came out?
I did have Halo. I mean, when I got the original Xbox, I got it almost near launch, not quite at launch, but I got it almost near launch. And yes, Halo was the first thing. I thought it was just look like a good looking first person shooter. I really wasn't familiar too much with it, but when I got the Xbox, I did get it with Halo, and I was blown away. It was just an incredible ride from beginning to end. The narrative on it was awesome, and the ending to that video game is still one of the best ever in video games, as far as the adrenaline rush that you get, the adrenaline rush that you get, the excitement, the emotions as you're trying to escape before Halo blows up and all that good stuff. But yes, the Halo was an incredible ride, and Halo 2 for me, as I've said on this show before, was even a better experience, especially because of and obviously the multiplayer, which I guess redefined what the multiplayer genre is all about. And as far as the multiplayer experience, it made so many different changes to what was done before. It basically eschewed everything that was done before, put its own format in, and a lot of people, a lot of games, a lot of individuals, companies, eh, developers, publishers have emulated ever since. And I think it set the tone for the future when it comes to Halo 2. But Halo is just, like you said, just something that I think a lot of people still to this day really look forward to when it comes to that name and a new Halo game coming out.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I have heard the same thing and I believe it too. And but I had someone had said on a podcast I was listening to, they're saying that Halo ruined first person shooters because he before I get like their defense of this was that before Halo came around, first person shooters were kind of a side genre, you know, much like fantasy is today in terms of like Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. So he said the first person shooter would have developed into something that could have possibly been more creative if not for Halo. But I feel like Halo is just a natural evolution of what first person shooters could and should be after, after games like GoldenEye came out.
But there were still games like BioShock and other games of that ilk that expanded the first person genre. And still to this day, still there are developers and publishers out there pushing the boundaries of what a first person shooter or first person experience is all about.
Right. And nobody's saying that you cannot create a different version of the first person shooter. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who would be open to that concept, open to something that sits well outside the boundaries of something like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Battlefield, stuff like that. So I don't know. I love Halo personally. It's Halo made first person shooters accessible to me, but I want to go back to the story for a minute. What makes that game so
Well, it
great?
made it accessible on a console format. The last time really was seen was GoldenEye 007 for the
Right.
N64.
Right, because GoldenEye to me was the first party game that I was able to get into because I was in elementary school when that came out, and I remember always going over to my buddy's house because he had an N64. We'd sit there play GoldenEye, Shadows of the Empire, but GoldenEye was fun because you could hook up 4 controllers. With the Xbox, you could hook up 4 controller right? That was 4 controllers on Xbox, right? Okay. Yeah, you could hook up 4, and then not only that, but you could have your buddies bring over their Xboxes and their controllers, and you could hook everything up to a router and just have everybody playing in different rooms. That was the beginning of video games for me. Like that was where my legacy started with that.
And
And
that local multiplayer really set the tone for enjoyment for, I guess, a lot of things going on within the multiplayer format, and that started, I guess, the evolution of what would become a Halo 2. And Halo 2, to me, I guess, well, I really think that it redefined what multiplayer was all about, because as far as the matchmaking, as far as the maps, the design, the thought put into it. Now, mind you, the Halo 2 campaign was not exactly as well thought out as the original Halo. The ending, I think a lot of people still have issues with. I know I do, but already spoken about that at length as well. So I think that Halo, with Halo 2 and also Halo, that set the bar very high for what was going forward. Halo 3, it sold extremely well. I remember the excitement. I was running a game store at that point in time, and the pre-orders were just out the door when it comes to everybody being excited for it. I know people weren't excited once they wanted to purchase all the extended versions, the enhanced versions, the more expensive versions that had other things attached to it that maybe weren't of
Legendary
great value.
edition.
Exactly, and then the helmet itself, the little tiny helmet that you got, which you people thought was gonna be a full-size helmet. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and I remember by the time about 2, 3 months later, I was sitting on 100 of them in my store that were just collecting dust, so that was not a fun time then, but the massive seller that was Halo 3 otherwise was still something that was very good, told a great story, also had a very solid multiplayer, built upon what was done in Halo 2. I think it just went off the rails after that. Your thoughts on what the series went after Halo 3? Because to me, Halo 4 and beyond, I mean, well, you could say Halo Reach, ODST, those were solid entries to the series. But after that, when it comes to Halo 4 and beyond, it just kind of really just got a little bit too much. And I think 343 needed to reevaluate itself on where it was heading with the Halo franchise.
Right, right. So, Halo 2 to me was it was fun because that was the continuation of, the story that I love so much because Halo had packed so much lore into one game. They had probably about 3 or 4 games worth of lore in one game. And that's what made me want to like go out and read the books and pick up anything I could get my hands on regarding the extended universe. So that was fun, and then, Halo 2 was fun too, but what I didn't like about Halo 2 was the fact that they took people saw how much fun kids were having these LAN parties at their house, and they're like, "What if we could put this online?" And that was the advent of Xbox Live, and from that point forward, you were no longer hanging out with your friends, everyone was playing in their living rooms, and yeah, that's fun too, but it's more fun when you're with a bunch of people, so I think that Halo 2 was good and it was bad, and as for the story, this I don't know. The story with it just is to me like the way they made the warthogs destructible and like the them trying to outdo the first game. I think there's a lot of pressure on themselves to do that, and they ended up kind of caving beneath it. But Halo 3, you worked at a game store. Wasn't the catchphrase for that finish the fight?
That it was. I think people were really excited. The trailers really drew everybody in. Everybody was just excited because it was just the fact that 2007 was the best year, in my opinion, for video game sales and video gaming as a whole. The quality of titles that were out there, and Halo 3 was right at the top of the list as far as excitement for it. People were really getting into it. Xbox 360, the sales of it took a giant leap from what it had been doing. So a lot of people were truly interested and invested in what Master Chief was doing because, like you said, it was finishing the fight. But ultimately, that was not going to be the case because ODST, Halo Reach, and then Halo 4, and then beyond that, it's kind of got gray area from there.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to do what they're describing. I believe was it Bonnie Ross
Yeah. Well,
or
okay.
Kiki Wolfkill.
Is Bonnie Ross, but the thing or Kiki Wolfkill, I think, is equally involved in this process. But uh, so from what I understand, Bungie wanted to separate from Microsoft, and the stipulations were you have to make. They had 2 more Halo games. You had to make one that was non-Master Chief centered, and that's something Microsoft wanted, and then one other one with that was in their contract. So they made Reach, and that's what resulted from that. But you kind of knew that they weren't going to let that series rest because, from what I understand, reading the Bonnie Ross stuff, the Gearbox was in line to make Halo 4. Like it was going to be an outsourced project, and so really curious what that would have been like. But then Bonnie Ross decided to open a studio in house, and I guess the Microsoft was originally against it, but then they said, "All right, well let's see what happens." So my thoughts on Halo 4 are, yeah, it's more Halo. It's a very emotional storyline between Master Chief and Cortana, but it was not the magic felt gone to me because Marty O'Donnell went with Bungie, and that didn't really end up working well for him as far as his soundtrack work. But it didn't feel like Halo to me, and I don't like the Prometheans. I don't like fighting them. They're too there's just too many things. They don't say fun. They don't have personalities like the grunts do, and they don't have the movement of the elites. They feel like very stale bad guys to me. And so, while I do love the lore and I love finding out more about these worlds and the forerunners and stuff like that, there was just a lot. There's so much that was packed. They tried to pack into that game, and in the end, it was fun, but it didn't really propel my interest in the series. And then Halo 5 rolls along, and that was just, to me, that was just an utter train wreck. I love the way they were reintroducing Fred and Kelly and the other Spartans, but I did not like the whole hunt dynamic. They could, all the stuff where you played as Locke, they could have shown in cutscenes. And I'll be honest, I never dove into the streaming, or not streaming, but the multiplayer aspect of Halo 5. But um, I don't know. I just like I didn't care about Halo multiplayer after Halo 3. But where did you stand on that?
Well, like I said before, after Halo reached an ODST, for me, Halo 4 and Halo 5, they took a serious nosedive. Halo Wars, they tried to go ahead and see if they could outsource it into a different format as far as taking a Halo license and putting it in a different realm. Halo Mobile, they went into places where they really did need to go with when it comes to the Halo license. I know they were just doing it for the almighty dollar and whatnot, but unfortunately, you just could not transfer the license out of into other fashions out of something what so many people were familiar with in first person shooters, and they were trying to do other different things from it. And I think the quality of the entire series and the entire format as a whole when it comes to Halo took a nosedive because of it, because they were splitting their resources out, or going to outsourcing to other companies to go ahead and develop other Halo type projects, and it really wasn't working out. And it showed as far as the quality. The 343 Studios, when it comes to Halo 4 and Halo 5, just not really yet where we need them to be when it comes to a Halo game. And I just think at this point in time, the future is still okay for Halo. People are still excited when it comes to Halo. Halo Infinite, when it comes out, I think will still generate an extreme amount of enthusiasm. Bonnie Russ has said, when she was talking to IGN, she did say that it will be a spiritual reboot, quote unquote. That it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be very interested in returning to when it comes to Halo franchise. I know there's a lot of issues when it came to when they did the remaster, the Halo Master Chief Collection, which I have, which had a lot of issues up front. But now, if you play it many years later, they've done enough refinements to make it an enjoyable experience. Your thoughts on where the Halo series now is going in the future with Halo Infinite, the Halo Showtime series, because we've seen also a lot of films, short series, and things of that nature that haven't always quite worked out. Your thoughts on where the Halo series can go now?
There's a lot of options, honestly, and like they introduced Locke and his team of Spartans, which also consisted of Nathan Fillion's character from ODST. So they could really, like, they could do a spinoff with them, because I feel like Master Chief's adventures are going to have to come to an end eventually. And with Halo Infinite, I know this game's supposed to be more open world, but I would hope that they would, and Master Chief centric, but I would hope that they would use this to kind of begin to close the Master Chief story, if that makes sense. As much as I love the Master Chief and he is iconic in terms of his presence with Microsoft and Xbox, it gets to the point where it's not believable. And this is why, like, I've kind of become worn out with games like Metroid and even Nintendo did it right with Zelda, but before that I was getting tired of Zelda. Breath of the Wild kind of put new breathe no pun intended, breathe new life into them. So I you know how I am. I like to see stories with closure, and I hope that this story they'll get a little more into Master Chief and tell his story, finish fleshing his story out, and then start going down a path where maybe they could begin to close that up, and maybe they can do that with the Showtime series. I don't know, but from this point forward, I want things that move the story forward. I don't want to go backwards at all.
I agree with you on that. A spiritual reboot. Hopefully, it's done in the right fashion, and I also think that if done correctly, a Showtime series with enough production value, money put into it, investment, time, care, and good writing can actually be something a lot of people will want to tune in when it comes to the adventures of Master Chief and the whole Halo universe once again. What are your thoughts out there on the Halo universe? Are you excited for Halo Infinite and the Showtime series that's coming up around the corner? Not right away, mind you, but it's still something to look forward to. Are you doing that, or is it something that you've put in behind you in the past in the rearview mirror and you never want to actually be a part of the Halo universe once again? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, before we get to one of our great music artists that we're presenting on the show, want to ask you real quick, my friend, a state of the PC gaming as we see it now. I was talking to my good friend Buddy Gold, one of our station owners for Croc Radio. If you want to check it out, awesome station based out of Canada. He was talking about his desires as far as what he wanted to see when it comes to the PC gaming world, and something that he's familiar with Linux and his background and all that. So I told him I wanted to discuss with you what the state of PC gaming is in your opinion. I think right now we're at kind of a little bit of I don't know, kind of a weird moment in time for the PC gaming industry as a whole, because you've got Fortnite that's still doing well, Apex Legends still doing well, but they're also gaining a lot of momentum on consoles, and also with the new consoles on the way. It's just kind of a paradox when you got the consoles that are taking so much of people's time. Is it taking too much away from PC gaming? And there's also the fact that now Valve is now seeing competition from Epic Store, with Fortnite obviously not wanting to be a part of the machinery known as Valve and the monopoly that they once had. And other entities are starting to move over into other things like GOG and the Epic Store. Metro, the latest Metro game, was the latest example of something that a title that did not want to go ahead and be a part of the Valve gaming experience. So I want to hear your thoughts on, my friend. Is the PC experience still what it once was, and can it be even more enhanced in the coming days?
No, I don't. I honestly don't think so because you look at what Nintendo's doing, right, with the Switch and the indie games. They have a very strong filtering process, whereas now with Steam, anyone can make anything. As long as you have their dev kit, you can even buy a game building kit from them, and so anyone can create anything. So we're reaching this point where there are so many PC games out that it's almost going to be impossible to find a game that you can play with your friends because they're all going to be playing different things. And that's what's always turned me off with PC. But and not to mention the fact that with PC gaming, it's so unfair when it comes to the thoughts of cross platforming, because you have your macros set and you can shoot a lot faster. You have the way you can move the mouse around, and it's not, that's a factor. And there's also the other factor I don't like is the idea that you have to constantly to be a PC gamer, you have to have money. You have to always be upgrading your system. And if you have if you're a casual gamer like myself, you want to play something on PC, you have to delete a bunch of crap in order for you to put another PC game on your computer. So I see why people like it, but at the same time, like, it's a very expensive hobby compared to being a console gamer.
And when you have a console, you're almost getting a near top of the line PC experience as far as visuals, as far as depth, as far as enhancement, gameplay, multiplayer experience, and all that. All that whole thing. As far as the whole encompassing 9 yards, you're getting that out of a console experience that's at or near what a top of the line PC can do. So it is very hard, like you said, for PCs to go ahead and have themselves stand out amongst the rest when it comes to actually have a game that's out there that can be supported. And the games that are specifically out for PC, those games don't seem to trend as well as games that are across the board. Like, for instance, PUBG, it was on PC for quite a while, but you know what? They buckled up, they buckled under, they went onto the Xbox, made a splash there, even though their Xbox version is kind of a little buggy and whatnot, but they're actually went to the consoles. Fortnite, understood real quickly about what was going on, and PUBG followed suit by not only going to a console format but a mobile format as well. So the largest games that you have on a PC format are going on to other platforms, drawing away a customer base from the PC platform, making it even harder for the PC versions to stand out. So it's amazing to see still the quality that a lot of PC games have, a lot of the things that you can still do when it comes to PC gaming. But to me, it seems like if you want a successful game, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to put it not only on a PC platform, but especially put it also on a console and possibly even a mobile platform as well.
Right, and look at it this way, when is the last time you saw at DICE, when's the last time you saw someone promote a PC game or the video game awards? When's the last time a PC game got nominated for anything that didn't have to do with esports? So it's just
And you're exactly right. I was just going to say, if it's not esports, it doesn't really get promoted as far as from a PC standpoint is concerned.
right. So I want to kind of throw this question at you here. What do you think would happen to PC games if some of these more obscure titles that people like playing, like for example, Subnautica just came out on consoles, right? And so people are playing that. So what do you think would happen if these games that were PC exclusive were suddenly not PC exclusive? Do you think we'd see an even more we'd see a severe decline in people playing on PCs?
It's just harder, for people to go ahead and be attracted to buying or playing a game exclusively on PC. I understand that the draw of the consoles is there, and I agree with, yeah. I think the answer is yes on that. I would probably say that if that's the case, I think it's just harder for people to go ahead and select PC gaming as the primary option. It's easier now, especially with streaming apps, streaming games and things of that nature. You can now stream easily with a PS4 and Xbox One, and someday soon, hopefully, you're going to be able to maybe possibly even do that with the Nintendo Switch. But that's down the line, mind you. But with those other options, it makes it even harder or less attractive for people to get into PC gaming.
Right, right, yeah, and again, this goes back to the always having to upgrade your system. Like a lot of people when I was in high school, I didn't have money for a PC. I didn't have money for any of that stuff. So anytime my friends wanted to play something, I bought we played on consoles because none of us could afford PCs. And by the time you can afford a PC, you're 25 to 40, in that demographic. So it really just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me to go out and pay money for a PC to play games on when you can own a console and you pay a flat fee of, $300 to $500 depending on what kind of console you want, and then you just buy the games as opposed to paying, 12 to 5 grand for a computer and then having to upgrade your memory card and graphics card and all that stuff anytime you want to play something new that's graphics intensive.
That's true. That's true. And that's something to think about going forward when it comes to the state of PC gaming. It's still going to be something that a lot of publishers and distributors still want to look towards to, because it pushes the boundaries on the high end units of what type of quality your game can have. So it will always be there as a standard. It's just the thing is, when it comes to developers and publishers these days, they're thinking of money first. How can we go ahead and have our game be on every platform possible and have an enjoyable experience that customers will want to go to time and time again, whether they want to go ahead and keep on buying the game itself or microtransactions or whatever type of monetary revenue that you can get from the game. It is much more attractive to have something that you want on all these different platforms than just on PC itself. So the state of PC gaming is kind of, like I said, in a flux right now. It's still a major part of the streaming and esports outlets, but with the advent of consoles, and I know we're trending at the back end of the era when it comes to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but with new consoles coming around the corner for Sony and Xbox, making it even more of a realistic experience and an even more of a high-end PC-like experience. It's going to be even harder for PC gaming to stand out year in, year out, as long as these consoles are getting more developed and a lot more fun to play. What are your thoughts out there on PC gaming? I want to hear your thoughts on what the state of PC gaming you think it really is and the future for PC gaming as a whole. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, I just want to make sure everybody out there knows that we've got some great music also lined up. Hey, we're a music DJ once again. What do you know? What do you know? It's a music show. It's part of the pop culture cosmos here. We just truly cannot thank these artists enough for going ahead and sending us their music. If you want to go ahead and send us music, sure, why not? Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. First up, we've got for today is Carrie Music. She's got Grand Central from her album Perpetual Motion. Check out Carrie Music on iTunes. That's where you can get her album today, Perpetual Motion. Check it out today. This is Grand Central. This is Grand Central. And this is the PCC Multiverse. And coming up right now, we've got Phil Matthews, aka The Village, with What Memories Are from Winds of Change. You can get the album today at thevillage.me.uk. Check it out today. This is What Memories Are from Winds of Change. This is The Village, and this is the PCC Multiverse. Want to thank so much. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald coming right back at you here. If you need a listing of where we're at, because we're being played all around the world on awesome radio stations, check out our entire radio station listing today on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, also as well on Instagram and Twitter. You got to check us out right there. There's a big picture on days and times when we're being played out all around the world, because you know what? Our shows get replayed 7 days a week, and we cannot thank enough to each and every radio station that does. Also, as well, if you want to go ahead and download our show at any point in time, we're on over 30 different podcast networks and got a listing of many of those networks available now on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just check it out right there for you. Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanity Media. So tell me, man, what is going on with Humanity Media?
Just our Topic Ocalypse Awards show, which you can catch now on Podbean. The second part's up, and also we'll be doing a little Halo Reach streaming later on today. So stay tuned for that. Check out the old Facebook page, and it'll pop up there soon enough.
It will pop up there soon enough, and also everything you can find out at Humanity Media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and also humanitymedia.com. Well, my friend, I want to, before we go ahead and talk last about DC, and because DC always comes up in the news, want to go ahead and thank Carrie Music for her great song, Phil Matthews, aka The Village, for his great song. If you want to check out Carrie's music, it's on iTunes. Look under Perpetual Motion, the album there. Also, as well, with Phil Matthews, want to check out his site, thevillage.me.uk, where you can either download the album from, he gives you the links there for Amazon and Spotify, but also you can order a CD there as well. So hopefully you like their music and give them a shot, because obviously cannot thank them enough for sending it over. Just truly great to have them a part of the pop culture cosmos. Also want to thank our good friend Daphne Matthew from Talking the Dead and the Walking Dead fan base for sharing her thoughts, really sharing her thoughts on what's going on with The Walking Dead, why there's still a future for The Walking Dead, hopefully, although with everybody leaving and all that, you never know. But why you need to tune in to see Alpha. Really good shows coming up in the near future, as long as Alpha stays a villain, and it looks like there's really going to be some good things coming up for The Walking Dead. My friend, before we head on out, I gotta run this by you. Gotta tell you, this just came across the wire not too long ago when it comes to the thoughts on the success of Aquaman and Wonder Woman, now getting a lot of people at Warner Brothers really in a good frame of mind of where they're going with what they're doing with the movie universe that they have there, and all that. Is just they're saying right now, in fact, in a recent conversation, that the chairman and chief executive officer for Warner Brothers, he's has his groove on. He thinks he's feeling real good about what's going on with the DC universe. He was quoted in the LA Times as saying that they feel that they're on the right track, quote unquote, on where they're going with the DC extended universe, especially coming off the success of Aquaman and Wonder Woman before that. Your thoughts on the DC Extended Universe with Shazam, the Joker prequel, uh, the Batman coming in the near future, Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad 2, all that stuff coming up. Your thoughts on if the DC Extended Universe is truly, quote unquote, on the right track?
I mean, okay, here's my thoughts on this. I want to see event films. I want to see them come together on screen. I don't want to have invested time in this, and I know it got off to a rocky start, but I still want to see them come together. And I don't want to see 10 different timelines. Like allegedly Joker exists on a different timeline. I want standalone experiences, but I want to have an event film maybe once every 2 or 3 years where all these heroes come together. That's what I want to see. But it sounds like DC's trying to assure people that they have a plan in place, but they've been doing that for a long time, and it still has never. Right now is the best it's ever looked, but again, they've had their ups and downs because Wonder Woman was also the best it's ever looked, but then it lost traction after that too. So I'll believe it when I see it, but how do you feel about it?
I just think they are on a better frame of mind. I think they're on a better track, on a better road, a better path than they were, let's say, this time last year. Obviously, a $1 billion movie like Aquaman does that for you, but let's not put the cart in front of the horses here. Let's just make sure that we've got something that we can develop over the course of time. Yes, I know the next Aquaman movie was announced as coming in 2022 December, I think, right, but because they obviously like the December timeframe because it works so well for the first one. Shazam is coming out, Birds of Prey, like I said, Suicide Squad 2 with James Gunn, all that good stuff coming on the way. But it's, if to me, will not be successful unless you can figuratively tie it together like you were trying to do before. Yes, I know it's a copy of the Marvel universe, but to me, all these standalone type of deals do not really work out unless you can go ahead and tie it in somehow all together and make it worthwhile for me as far as to watch it. Make it worth my time to watch all these separate movies and find something common and find a common thread between them. And let's see if we can go ahead and get a universe started that really, really is worth paying attention to, like we have for so many years when it comes to the Marvel universe.
Right, right. And again, we've talked about this at length, the fact that if you don't treat your big 2 or 3 heroes with the care and attention and respect that they need, you're not going to ever be able to develop something that ties people together, that makes people interested in the series. Marvel, who made people interested in the series? Iron Man did, Captain America, Thor, the original Avengers. All of those people got their own films and their own development arcs. Justice League, even in Avengers, they had their stories fully fleshed out. Justice League just had someone like Aquaman, um, that he didn't really get fleshed out. They just had him there as like in a side character. Same thing with the Flash. If they would have began with telling the stories of these big, their big five, I think they would be on in a completely different and better place right now.
I believe you are correct on that as well. I couldn't agree with you more. I want to hear everyone's thoughts out there on what's going with the DC movie universe. Is the DC movie universe on the right track? We want to hear your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, it's going to be well, it was an awesome show. I cannot thank enough to everyone out there for listening in and checking us out one more time again. We're going to have an awesome show coming up on Monday. In fact, we're going to talk about what's going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe because Captain Marvel is around the corner. We are so excited for it, but got some things we want to talk about when it comes to the people that are talking about Captain Marvel because I'm not liking some of the stuff that's going around as far as some of the flack and all that. But we're going to touch on that when it comes to Monday's show because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to already the fervor that's going on when it comes to Captain Marvel to try and deflect what many people are hoping for will be a great part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm just looking forward to that, my friend. I'm getting excited. Cannot wait. It's going to be a great addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, I just want to real quick poke fun at Fortnite for ripping off 2 games in order to stay relevant. Talking about Sea of Thieves and Apex Legends. Well done. I can your fear is has a palpable smell to it. So we'll see what happens in the future regarding Fortnite.
Yeah, they never said they were really truly being original in the stuff they're doing, but they are very quick to go ahead and notice player trends. If players do like something from another game or another game for certain reasons, and they are quick to implement it on them. So kudos. Hey, when you're on top and you see these things, it's better to go ahead and try and implement things that other people like into your game. It may not be the most original thing in the world, but when you're on top and you're trying to stay there, you're trying to do everything you can to go ahead and keep those numbers flowing. And with Epic and Fortnite, I'm not surprised in the least. I mean, that's Fortnite, the PUBG, the whole thing where PUBG tried to go ahead and sue them and whatnot, and they obviously thought they had a very valid claim, and in some ways they do or did, but unfortunately didn't work out there. I mean, they borrow heavily from all these other things and whatnot. But then again, how many original video games has there been in the past 10, 15 years with so many video games borrowing other components from other video games? So to me at this point, when you're on top like Fortnite, you're just trying to do everything you can to stay there. And with Apex Legends slowly picking some stuff out of there as far as the pie, as far as more players coming to their game, and with PUBG still trying to do the same as well. Fortnite, you know what are you going to do? They're just going to go ahead and either do the status quo, which would be their undoing, or try to go ahead and make it as enjoyable as you can for the players. Because if that's the case and the players want it, in Fortnite, they're going to get it.
Right, right. It just smells like desperation. Also, I don't like these games that are taking attention away from the big AAA titles. So that's where I stand on that. But anyways, we can talk about that another day.
We can talk that, and then we will talk. We will definitely talk about that on another day. Because as for you, you fight for the little guy, and I don't blame you one bit. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great